I'm Youngmee Lee. I'm from Ewha University in South Korea. I'm pleased to have this opportunity to talk to you. My topic is vocal development of young children with only simultaneous bilateral cochlear implants. These are us. It's me. She is Heusen Park. She is Yesol Jeon. Universal newborn hearing screening is conducted in many countries. As a result, infants can be diagnosed with hearing loss before 3 months of age, and children receiving eyes have become younger. These days, many deaf infants are implanted at 12 months or younger in order to maximize this opportunity for spoken language. Additionally, the number of children with early simultaneous bilateral eyes has increased rapidly. Recent studies reported that children with bilateral eyes have more benefits from sound localizations, language development, and speech perception in noise than children with unilateral eyes. Especially compared with sequential bilateral eyes, simultaneous bilateral eyes can promote the development of bilaterals auditory pathways. For these reasons, simultaneous bilateral eyes can be a good option in treating children with severe to profound hearing loss. In these studies, we have focused on the vocal development in young children with bilateral eyes. Vocal development is the gradual acquisition of major speech patterns during the first 2 years of life. Pre-linguistic vocalization is characterized by the emergence of various kinds of vocalization types. Especially, canonical vocalizations as well-known predictors of speech and language development in young children. Clinically, traditionally used speech measures as speech evaluation tools are not sensitive enough for very young children with CIs. As we know that, speech rating scales such as MOOS and MESP can be performed for children 2 to 5 years of age. My purpose in these studies is to investigate the vocal development of young children with simultaneous bilateral eyes in comparison with age-matched children with typical hearings, and to explore the relationship between child variables such as age and implantation and duration and implant use, and canonical vocalization variables such as the frequency of canonical vocalizations and canonical vocalization ratios in the CI groups. Now, I'd like to introduce the subjects of these studies. There are 11 deaf infants and toddlers who receive simultaneous bilateral eyes before 1 year of age. Their chronological age ranged from 1 to 3 years. 11 children with typical hearing were included as their control groups. These children were masked based on the chronological age, and they were typically developing with no speech and language difficulties. This brings me to our methods. We collected children's vocalizations from a 20-minute parent-child play sessions. Children's vocalizations were videos and audio recorded with a high-quality microphone. All parents were instructed to interact with their children in their usual manners. We classified children's vocalizations into canonical vocalizations and non-canonical vocalizations, and coded their vocalizations in the programs. After that, we calculated the frequency of canonical vocalizations and non-canonical vocalizations, and canonical vocalization ratios. Let's look at the leaders. This bar graph shows the frequency of canonicals and non-canonical vocalizations for group comparisons. Orange represents the children with typical hearings, and yellow represents the children with simultaneous bilateral eyes. The results show that children with simultaneous bilateral eyes did not significantly differ from the children with typical hearing in the frequency of canonical vocalizations and non-canonical vocalizations. This bar graph shows the canonical vocalizations ratios for group comparisons. These results show that children with simultaneous bilateral eyes did not significantly differ from the children with typical hearings in the canonical vocalizations ratios. This slide shows the correlation results between the duration of an implant use and the frequency of canonical vocalizations in the CI groups. The horizontal axis shows the duration of implant use, and the vertical axis shows the frequency of canonical vocalizations. Duration of an implant use was positively correlated with the frequency of canonical vocalizations. Thus, children who have longer implant experience are more likely to produce more canonical vocalizations. This slide shows correlation results between the receptive and expressive vocabulary scores and the frequency of canonical vocalizations. The horizontal axis shows the frequency of canonical vocalizations, and the vertical axis shows the receptive vocabulary scores. The frequency of canonical vocalizations are positively correlated with the receptive vocabulary scores. And the right bars, look at the right graph. The horizontal axis shows the frequency of canonical vocalizations, and the vertical axis shows the expressive vocabulary scores. The frequency of canonical vocalizations was positively correlated with expressive vocabulary scores. Let's now move on to our discussions. In the previous report, young children with bilateral eyes left behind their peers with typical hearings in their vocal development. But in these studies, children with simultaneous bilateral eyes did not differ from children with typical hearings in vocal development. We think that different results of vocal development in children with bilateral eyes were related to the subjects of the studies. In these studies, we control the age at implantations and the time interval between the two CIs in the selection of subjects. The listening experience is a very important factor in vocal development, and canonical vocalization is a crucial factor in expressive and receptive language development. To conclude, young children with simultaneous bilateral eyes may achieve a comparable level of vocal development compared to children with typical hearings. Canonical vocalization in children with only simultaneous bilateral eyes may be a crucial factor in predicting expressive and receptive language development. Thank you very much for paying attention and enjoy the rest of the conference.